Hey friends, welcome back to Thrive Online Healing Podcast. I'm going to totally confuse you. So this is episode 76. Next week, you're going to hear about minerals, and I tell you that it's episode 76, but it's episode 77. So just to clarify the confusion. This week, we're going to talk about, we have a program we've mentioned several times. It's called the New Beginnings Program. And we just finished a couple weeks ago our 6-week beta trial. So in that 6 weeks, our program is normally 12 weeks. We cut it down in half, and we had 7 wonderful women willing to go through this program so we could just iron out some things and make sure that everything made sense in the order it was in. And part of it is they had to take our neurotransmitter hormone adrenal panel. And then they met with me every week for an hour in a one-on-one. No, not every week. They had 3 one-on-one coaching sessions, an hour each. And then they had 3 group coaching sessions. And then they had a consultation session when their panel came in with Dr. Carmen and I. And so in this episode, we just wanted to talk about what we learned in that 6 weeks and kind of what that 6 weeks did for these individuals in this program. And yeah, so I'll let you kind of go first and I'll add in. And yeah, what did you think?
So this is an opportunity to kind of look back and kind of reflect, right, on how things unraveled, right, or how things like flowed, I guess. Yeah. And I will say, so we had a diverse group of folks in this beta test, and that reflected in their labs. When we looked at the neurohormone adrenal panel, right, we kind of got the whole gamut. We got folks who were high on the serotonin and dopamine side. We had folks that were on the low of the serotonin and dopamine side. But what was common amongst these this group is that they had the opportunity, right, by seeing the labs to kind of validate their feelings and what was contributing to where they were at.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So several folks kind of had that aha moment of like, oh, this is why I'm experiencing the anxiety. This is why I'm experiencing that lack of motivation or the lack of energy. Right. Yeah. I will say, and that was common, not just in this group, but I think even for women in general, when we're looking at the adrenal profiles, and we were kind of going through, and there are some folks who are flatlined, where they don't have a lot of dips and changes in their energy and their cortisol levels throughout the day, like our body wants to be. And then there's a symptom survey that's part of the panel that asks folks, to rate on a scale of 0 to 3. So it's none, mild, moderate, or severe of certain symptoms.
Yeah.
And there were a couple that I thought, okay, when I looked at their symptom survey, their symptoms were like mild. They were like a 1 or a 0 or maybe a 2, but very rarely did people pick 3 unless it was like in the fatigue factor. And so then I would look at their labs and okay, this is a chronic issue where you've gotten to a point where you just push through, right? When you don't feel like you have energy and you still have work to take care of, the house to take care of, kids and family to take care of, you push through and take care of them.
Yeah.
And so that reflects in their labs of where they're at. And so I think for a lot of folks, I kind of felt that validation of like, you're right, I don't have that energy, but I have things that I have to do. So they show up, right? But so by evaluating that and showing them where they're at in that picture of time, right? I always tell folks when we do labs, it's just that picture in time of where you can see your past thoughts and feelings, how they've contributed to your physical state, how that's reflecting in your labs, and where you can go from here.
Yeah. I loved that we did have a diverse group. Like they were not all Americans. We had there were 7 of them. So 3 of them were Canadians.
Yeah.
So I love that it gave us like, this is just not an American culture thing. Right.
Yeah.
And like, as I talk to people about like reporting the results from like our little, it's kind of like it was in our experiment, our research, like gathering information, like how is this going to work? That not one person of the 7 came back with normal results. Normal results in the neurotransmitters. None of them had normal results in the adrenals. None of them had normal results in the hormones. Like all of them were either way too much or way too low.
Yes. Yeah. When we go over the labs and we share them, they show like the reference ranges, right? What is normal? And you're exactly right. None of them were consistently within that normal range on all their neurotransmitters, adrenals, or hormones, right? And I think that shows us, if this was just a sliver of the population, right? That it shows us that there's room for improvement for everybody, right? That room for improvement looks different for each person based on what they're experiencing, right? And based on where they're at. But there are some things that were surprising to some of the women that we were kind of going through, and some of their hormones were off. And so by explaining, the estrogen and the progesterone and that ratio and what that means, some of them were like, oh, nobody's ever told me that, right? And so it was a little bit out of not what they expected. But it made sense when we went over it.
And like two of them knew going into this, like, and they both had the same complaint. Like, I know there's something off with me, but I keep going to my primary, or I keep going to my gynecologist, and they just keep telling me, like, they do blood labs and like, you're in normal ranges. And there's both of them said, like, I know there's something though. Like, I know there's something off. It's just, this is what I keep running into. And then when they got their panels back, and it was like, yeah, like you were right. Your instincts were right. These things are off. I was happy for them that they were validated, that their intuitions were right.
I love that for them, because it gives them this little bit, this empowerment of, your intuition is on the right track, right? Just because conventional medicine or your primary doc or your specialist isn't necessarily able to find things on those labs, 1, they may not be doing the correct labs. And 2, they're not taking into account what we call your clinical picture, right? Or like your personal situation, right? Where you're at, what you're thinking, where your body is, what your symptoms are. They're not always taking that into account. They're always just looking at the numbers. And sometimes those numbers can be a little bit misleading. Because they'll say, oh, well, if it's not flagged, it must be normal. You must be normal. And when people don't feel normal, it's really frustrating. So to be able to show them and explain to them, like where they're at on that spectrum of what's considered, optimal in our adrenal function, our neurotransmitters, and our hormones, gives them that a better understanding, right? And then that relationship, they're like, aha, that's why I feel this way, right? Like, this is what this has created in my body, these thoughts and feelings. So, hopefully continues to motivate them and support them to, make those changes.
Yeah. I loved, we had one, and I've known her for a little while. She confessed to me, she was like, the whole reason I did this program is because I wanted that panel. And I didn't really care about the coaching, Kim. Like, I wanted to support you. So I was like, fine, that part's free. I'll do it to support you. But really, I want the panel. Because she has a pretty good life. Like, she's happily married. She has kids. She has her own business, right? Like, she's pretty good. If you talk to her, and she's honest. Like, she's an honest woman. She's like, I'm doing pretty well in life. And because they spent most of their time most of them didn't get their panel back until week 5 of the 6 weeks, right? So we had already been coaching and got their videos right. So we've already gone through some stuff. And she told me, she's like, I was excited about that panel, but really what I found the most valuable was the coaching. She's like, I thought that coaching was for people that were really struggling in life. Like they were depressed, or they were like down on their luck, or had like severe anxiety, like kind of your classic mental illness world, right? She's like, I had no idea that it was like helpful for everyone. And she's like, just to be able to like get the coaching and see like this. I love her story so much because again, she was like doing well, right? She knew physically she wasn't. That's why she wanted the panel. But after our first coaching session, like she had a small business, we coached on her limiting beliefs around this. Like she had some thoughts of how her business should progress, right? And like it should be here by next year. And we were like, why? That's just a thought. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why does hours put in work equal money? It doesn't have to be like that. And I kid you not, after that first session, the next week she texted me. She's like, I just got 6 new clients out of nowhere. And I talked to her the other day, and since the last 6, so we're probably at week 9 now. And the last 9 weeks, she has doubled her business.
Yeah.
She's like, it's crazy. She's like, I still do not understand. Like, you do voodoo magic to me, Kim? Like, I don't understand. I'm like, no, you created those results because our thoughts equal our results. Like it changes our behavior. When we have different thoughts, we behave differently. And so I just think that was the coolest story of this person. Like, coaching is just for like people that have some mental illness stuff going on, not like doing well people. Like, no, like coaching is about optimizing. We optimize your life by optimizing your brain. And in our program, we happen to also optimize your body to support your brain for optimization.
Exactly. I think this is why I was so excited to introduce this program, right? And to offer it to folks, is because we marry those two thoughts or those two components together. That it's not just the mind aspect, it's not just the body aspect, but to truly, help people to be successful and to help to understand, right? Where that thought process, how it's, playing into their physical health and what they can do to support both of those can move you so much quicker to optimize things to greater success, whatever that looks like in business and family relationships and work, right? Yeah. In your personal life. That's exciting.
I'm astonished by her results.
Yeah. That's very exciting. Yeah. So to be able to offer this and to folks and just to kind of begin to help them explore those things, even in the short 6 weeks of the beta program, right? Yeah. People were able to even move a little bit further in understanding that thought process.
Yeah. And I love like another one reported to me, like, so she came in and she's been in the coaching world for a while, like in terms of a client. So she was very familiar with my coaching philosophy coming out of the Life Coach School. Right. And, but she was also very excited about the panel. Right. And again, she didn't get the panel until like the last part of the program. And her whole thing was like, she hated her job. Like all the poor woman wanted was to be able to work remotely. Yeah. And after the first coaching session, we worked through like, why are you not asking what you want? Like you have this relationship. Why are you not asking for what you want and going after it? Why are you hiding in this office waiting for someone to send you an invitation? And like, she took action, asked for what she wanted, is in the process of moving to a remote job. Like, again, crazy. Like she's getting what she wants. And she said after the panel, because I've coached her again, she was like, Kim, you know what this program gave me? It like totally empowered me. She's like, I realized that I have control over my life because I can manage my brain, and seeing what I did to my body to get it to this place where these panels came back not optimal, but I did that. So therefore I can fix it. She's like, I feel so empowered in my life right now, from physical to mental. And like, that was just like, the angels broke out in song for me, because that's the whole goal, is like, I want you to be empowered to optimize your life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about this program. That's kind of what, makes it a little bit unique. Yeah, is because we're able to partner that and show folks that exact relationship. So if they're shown and explained and given that information, they can take that right into the future and be like, oh, I want to change my situation. This is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know, like, we have people, both of us, that are like, just want to take, because, and I understand why, right? We've been programmed through our society and conventional medicine that you just do symptom management, go get the pill, take the pill, you'll feel better. That's all you have to do. That's the amount of work that you have to do. So people come to us and like, hey, just want to take that panel. Can I just take that panel? And my answer is like, nope. Like, it comes together in the package. So from your perspective, why do we kind of take a hard line on that? Why do you take a hard line on that?
So the reason is because, again, I mean, those labs are just a picture in time, right? And so to begin to just give somebody the labs, and not get the understanding of the thoughts and the emotions that have played into why your labs may not be optimal, can be disempowering for some folks, right? Because they may look at that and be like, wow, well, yep, you validated, I feel broken, right? It says I'm broken right here on this piece of paper, right? With your pretty graphs and your pretty colors, right? But it's not giving them the tools to make changes in those, in that regard. Because so I do make recommendations, right, for some supplements for folks, some diet, food as medicine, some diet, lifestyle recommendations. But that's not what's going to create the biggest change in those labs to help be in an optimal place. Mm-hmm. It's got to be, those emotions that are creating those imbalances. And so I feel like if I'm just doing the panel and just sharing that with folks and explaining it, or explaining their results, and not taking the time to walk them through how they've created that state in their body, I'm not doing a good job, right? It's not, especially when we're looking at like the neurotransmitters and the adrenals and those hormones, it's not just the body aspect, it's the mind aspect. And so that's why marrying these two things together in our program is so important to me, because just, doing the panel by itself, it shows you some of the pieces to your puzzle, but it doesn't help you start putting things together without the coaching. And so if people, usually most folks who are asking for the panel, right, or asking for the information, it's because they want to be better. They know something's off and they want to be better. And so, I mean, we've talked a lot about mind body medicine before. And I think that just, this takes that to a different level. It makes it more tangible for people, so they can begin to incorporate their understanding and that thought work to address their physical health and their emotional health.
Yeah. And I'd love for you to tell people, like, when we were talking about this, like, I asked you, it's your, I don't know, it's like your slogan, sort of, like, if you have physical symptoms, I'll let you finish that.
So if you are experiencing physical symptoms, there are emotional symptoms as well, right? Yeah. So especially like the hormone component, a lot of people, they want to test hormones. So they may, they'll ask, oh, well, what if I don't want to, I'm not, like, I don't really understand the neurotransmitters. I don't want to do that. I just want to do the hormones to help me understand the hormones. If people experience those physical symptoms, like irregular periods or heavy cycles, or they've had issues with their cycle in the past, they're experiencing emotional symptoms as well, right? It may not be as tangible as like the pain that may come with hormone changes, or the uncomfortable physical symptoms that may come with hormone changes, but I will guarantee you're also experiencing on that spectrum, right? Irritability, PMS, depression, even if it's just tearfulness, right? Or fatigue. Those are those emotional symptoms, right? That are going hand in hand with those physical symptoms.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks, sometimes we don't recognize it, right? Or it's like, well, that's not what brings people to the doctor. What brings them is the physical uncomfortable feelings,
right?
That they're tired. They finally reached a point, they're like, I'm tired of experiencing this. I don't want to feel this physical pain or sensation anymore. But yeah, if from my perspective and our perspective, right, we if you want a holistic approach, you have to address the mind and the body. You've got to address the mental, emotional, as well as the physical.
Yeah, and I like to think of it as like the mental and the emotional, because I believe thoughts create our reality, right? They create our results in our life, and our thoughts create our health. Like the emotions and the thoughts are the root cause to a lot of the physical ailments. And why I say that is because there's so many, in the program I'm in, there are so many doctors, MDs, that are leaving medicine to become life coaches, because over their years of practice, they found like a lot of these physical ailments are rooted in mental issues. Like, and me just addressing the physical is just doing symptom management, because we're not addressing the mental that created this whole cluster.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I'm not going to get the statistics specific, or exactly correct. But the American Academy of Family Practitioners put out a statement. I think it was in like in the 2010s. And at that time, they recognized that about 73 to 76% of primary care visits and complaints were directly associated with stress.
Yeah.
And so that's the emotional component. And the challenge is a lot of primary care physicians, most physicians in general, are not trained and educated to address the mental emotional side, right? I mean, we do get rotations in psych. Usually that's at the psych hospitals. And we do get training in psych, but only not a significant amount, because the idea is that you refer to a psychologist, a psychotherapist, right? A psychiatrist. Yeah. You refer out those folks, right? That's sort of their level of expertise. Well, then the trouble is then their level of expertise, they're always putting people in an illness model.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And they're not necessarily, there's a big gap between stress, right? Our emotions and an illness model. There's a huge gap there. And so, and not everybody is, or not all doctors are kind of equipped to dive into that. And I will tell you, so because I came from a social work background before I went into medicine, and in my education at the University of North Dakota in conventional medicine, I liked the touchy-feely stuff, right? And it never really dawned on me that wasn't like, it wasn't cool, or it wasn't accepted. Okay. And then when we would do cases, I mean, I kind of gravitated towards the touchy-feely stuff because that's what I was good at. Yeah. But I was always kind of like mocked and made fun of, because everybody was like, oh, we're not going to have to do that, right? That's why they have social workers. That's why they have psychologists, because we don't have to do touchy-feely stuff. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize what I was doing was touchy-feely until I went through that experience and kind of got ostracized in a couple of cases that I was like, oh, okay, it's different right there. So by practitioners, right, chiropractors and doctors recognizing now that divide, right, and they want to help people. So I think that's why you're seeing more going into the coaching world, because they're like, hey, yeah, the thoughts and feelings and our emotions have direct impact on our body, and it hasn't really been understood or addressed. I mean, it's been made fun of in conventional medicine, and so it's beginning to see the other side and making it, a little bit more accepted and empowering for folks, instead of kind of not addressing their thoughts and feelings and how it's creating this, physical state, and just putting them on a medication.
Yep. And another thing that I saw, like going back to the stress thing in this program, was most of them, like they were like, we have 2 left, right, that haven't come back yet. Yeah. But so out of the 5 that we've gotten back, they were all in either adrenal phase 1, 2, or 3, fatigue, failure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And they all reported, I'm doing fine. Right. And it's like, because they are so used to living in chronic stress, they're not even aware anymore that they're stressed. Right. And so I think that was a little eye-opening for them. Like, oh, this isn't normal to feel this way. Like, I'm living in stress all the time. And they'd been through 4 or 5 weeks of coaching at that point, learning like how to manage your thoughts, how to process emotions, where emotions come from, right? All thoughts are optional, right? And then during the consultation, and I know you're going to like know the couple of faces, we're going over in the consultation over their panel, like, here's what's going on physically. It's creating stress, creating anxiety, depression, that's creating fatigue, right? And like, you can see their heartbreak as we're going over it, like overwhelm. Like, this is what's wrong with me. Now I have to fix all of this too. So that's also a reason that we will not give the panel separately, because it is overwhelming to get all that information and then be like, this is more broken. But also, one of your recommendations when you're going over that is like, you need to learn how to do more stress resilience.
Right.
And it's like, that's what we've been working on. Stress resilience comes from learning how to manage your mind. And so I have to go back from that conversation and be like, that was part of your prescription or your recommendation, stress resilience. This is going to help you with stress resilience. Right.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. Like, to be able to kind of connect those dots with folks, because I mean, it's a decent panel, right? So I think all together, I mean, like, there's some main pages, but it's like 8 pages of stuff we're going through. But to understand what all of those things mean, right? And there may be things on there that, people aren't as familiar with. So some of those neurotransmitters, not just our serotonin, dopamine, but like GABA or glutamate or histamine, right? Not everybody, or PEA, not everybody's super familiar with those.
Right.
So we can get overwhelming really quickly, right? When you see the results and you're like, oh gosh, I'm either on the far low end or the far high end. It's like, how do I fix that, right? We want to fix it. But to be able to understand and bridge those two, like, hey, what you've been learning, right, through this program, this is opportunity for you, how you're going to apply it, to begin to bring your, not just the labs in balance, right, but your physical body and your mind back into balance.
Yeah. So having that support there, and too, like, that is part of your healing process, right? Is like, we don't only address the panel and the diet changes or the food as medicine and the supplements. Like, part of healing the body and getting it back up is learning how to manage the mind, the emotions, therefore managing stress better.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. But I hope we've built our case as to why I personally say it like this, when I'm like, I just don't believe it's ethical for me to separate this out. Why I don't believe it's ethical? Because then I believe that her and I are just like all the rest of the practitioners out there that are doing symptom management. We're only going to give you a little taste, a little symptom management. Good luck. Right.
Yeah.
And that has felt terrible for me as a patient. And I just don't feel ethical to do that to anyone. Like, if I'm going to show up, I want to give you all the tools you need to create the most optimized mind and body. And that's why for me, it feels unethical to separate them out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if we're in the world of trying to help people, right? And help them in a way where their results, those successes, those gains, change their life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's for me, it's like, oh, you're not doing your due diligence,
yes.
right? As a practitioner, you're not doing your due diligence by just like, oh, okay, yeah, here's the information, go fend for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And so being able to create it and put it in a program as one component of the program, instead of it being the main focus.
Right.
The clients, you are the main focus, right? Yes. Your labs are to help to understand and to validate things and to empower you. They're not the main focus.
Yes.
Yeah. How you see the world, right? Those thoughts, how you understand your thoughts and your perspectives, is what's going to create different actions and results in your life. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Beautifully said, my friend. Yeah, it was really like, I'm super glad that we did the beta testing, and just to see, like, my mind was blown, like 6 weeks. And like, those were just 2 of the 7 stories that I could list off of like changing their lives.
Right.
Like crazy. Cause in my mind, like, you need like years of coaching to get this done. But just to see like the combination of this too, like warp speed.
Yeah. I think that we've created sort of the right equation for folks to be able to tap into, use, understand, right, their state of mind, understand where they are, right, use that as a diving board to move forward and to make those changes. Yeah, I think that's what's very unique about our program and a little bit different, is because by creating that roadmap for each, by offering the opportunity, right, for them to create that roadmap to move forward, helps them experience that a lot quicker, more efficiently, more effectively than maybe other programs or other counseling or things that they've tried to do on their own.
Yeah, I'm super proud of it, and I'm really proud of like us that we were brave enough to create this. And I'm really proud of the 7 that were brave enough to like do the beta and show up and like really create results in their lives, like bigger, more fantastic businesses, happier marriages, like more empowered lives, feeling better. Like, these are life-changing things.
Yeah. It's very exciting to be in this process and be able to offer it to folks.
Yeah. So cool. Anything else? Any other reflections on the beta program?
I think those are the big ones, that I wanted to make sure and share with folks today.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm not. So if you guys are interested, we didn't create this to be an ad, but if you are interested, the launch date for the next round, this will no longer be beta. This is a real deal. So it's 12 weeks, is Monday, September 27th. That's when our new group starts. So if you guys are interested, I will link up the website. You can check it out. DM us for questions, and I do a free consult. So if you want to talk it over, we're more than happy to do that. But we will get started on the 27th, and that will take us through the rest of the year, and then we'll reconvene in January for the next group launch. So, all right, my friend, have a great day.
Thank you.